Hello there. Thank you for joining me here on Alyssa Jean's Reviews. This is my review for Star Trek Lower Decks Season 2, Episode 6, A Spy Humongous. So, as per usual with these reviews, a spoiler warning. If you have not seen up through Season 2, Episode 6 of Lower Decks, then please go and catch up, watch all the necessary episodes, and then come back and watch this review after you have done that. Okay, let's jump into it. So, I thought this was a pretty good episode. I really enjoyed this one. I definitely see it as an improvement over the previous 2 weeks' episodes. I was getting a little worried about Season 2 there the last couple weeks. This one I really did quite enjoy. It's definitely a step up. I will say that I don't think that it was as consistently funny as some of the best episodes in Season 1, particularly at the end of the season. I didn't find myself laughing too often. However, it did have that one hilarious scene at the end. I think it's one of my favorite callbacks they've ever done, and also one of the funniest, if not the funniest, scene of the season at this point, with the prank call to Armis. So Frank calling Armis, who thinks of this stuff. That is so good. And he's like, oh, that is so good. The prank call to Armis. Other than that, there wasn't a whole lot of laugh out loud moments. However, there were some good moments too. There was a lot of moments that I enjoyed. And again, I think they're doing well with the character stuff, which I will get into. I like what they're doing character-wise here. It's not perfect. There's a couple things I didn't love, but it's definitely a little step up from the last 2 weeks. So I'm happy to see that. So I'll start with, I think I'll start with the Boimler storyline. I've heard different opinions on which one is the A and which one is the B and C. I don't know, whatever. I think they're all the same, honestly. They seem to be all pretty equal. I almost want to think of the Captain Freeman plot by default as the C plot, just because in this case the bridge crew are not the main characters. So I just kind of always think of it as a C plot. But whatever. I'm going to start with Boimler. And so at first I was really worried that they were heading into cliche territory here, or I thought Boimler was going to go off with the cool kids and Mariner and Tendi and Rutherford were going to have resentment toward him, and then they were going to have a fight and not want anything to do with him, and he was going to have to make up with them. And they didn't really do that. There was a little bit at the beginning, a little bit of Mariner going, oh, Boimler is too cool for us or whatever. Or I think it was more like, oh, he's getting out of this trash duty? What the fuck? Like, that's not fair. But then there wasn't much after that. I think Mariner and Tendi and Rutherford were kind of busy in their own thing. They weren't really thinking about Boimler too much, which is good. They kind of avoided that cliche. It was very much like a high school drama type of thing, and something that I've seen repeated over and over and over and over. And for the most part, I think they were able to subvert that cliche or not get too deep into it. It was still a little bit on the cliche side with Boimler, trying to be with the cool kids. But there was never any like being mad or they got upset at each other or a temporary friend breakup where they have to make up or anything like that. It was just, they never really left each other. Boimler was always loyal to his friends the whole time, it turns out. So I did think it had a very satisfactory conclusion with Boimler doing all that silly stuff with spraying himself with beans and ice cream and all this stuff to make the Tendi scorpion spider thing or whatever that she turned into laugh. I really enjoyed that. Now, as for the Boimler plot itself, the things that happened in it. First of all, I do have to laugh at the fact that they're called the Red Shirts, and they're like, oh yeah, we call ourselves the Red Shirts because we're invincible. And Boimler was like, you call yourselves the Red Shirts? Okay. But I like that they didn't get too meta with it. I think sometimes, like when they start calling out episode titles like they did previously a couple of weeks ago, where Mariner called out a specific title of an episode, and they've done that before. When they start getting too meta, I'm just like, okay, you're crossing the line here. So I'm glad that they didn't go too deep into that. Just a little moment of confusion from Boimler, like, why would you call yourself the Red Shirts? And I love that their answer was, because it makes us feel invincible. Nice touch. I really like that. And like they have Jennifer the Andorian, like, has something to do. I still don't feel like she had a lot to say, but they give her a little bit more of a at least on-screen time. And although I do think that the whole thing was dumb about them wanting to, be captains. We're going to be a captain and all this stuff. I thought the concept was a little silly, but I liked some of the things that they did with it. I did like the whole thing where they were trying to get Boimler to make a speech, and he does this big dramatic speech in front of the Enterprise D bridge, and it is very typical Star Trek speech. I did actually appreciate that. I thought that was good. And even more so, what I really appreciated is when they went into the mess hall there, right before Boimler did the thing I was just mentioning, where he made Tendi laugh, is that those red shirt guys, their solution was to all give different speeches. They were just going to give speeches. Like, they just have no concept of what it actually is to be a captain. And Boimler does. Boimler does. He didn't realize he did, I don't think, until this. So that's a good character development for him, that he's starting to discover, yeah, he actually does have leadership material, and it's not what these idiots were telling him it is. He already has it. He has it more than they do. And I also really love that one dude ended up, he was so desperate to just like be acting captain, and he got to be acting captain for like 2 seconds, and then Shax came in and put him on shit cleanup duty. I thought that was so good. He deserved that. What a douchebag that guy was. So love that ending as well. Now I'm a little concerned about the long-term story arc for Boimler. I am worried that they are making him into Harry Kim 2.0. Okay, so now they're now clearly establishing that he has the command ability in him. He's someone who can be a commander or captain someday. And I mean, when they do an episode like this, you have to put him on that path. Like, you can't do 7 seasons of Lower Decks and have Boimler still be an ensign. They've already demoted him once. So they've promoted him to lieutenant junior grade, and then, of course, he gets split off into 2, and then just for no reason whatsoever, just because the show is called Lower Decks, he had to return to being an ensign to go back to the Cerritos, which really made no sense, except for, well, it's called Lower Decks, so everybody has to be an ensign. I think at some point they're going to have to subvert that. They're going to have to not worry about the fact that the show is called Lower Decks, and they're going to have to promote Boimler again. When they do an episode like this and show that he's got the command stuff, you can't make him Harry Kim and just be an ensign forever. It makes no sense. So I would rather that they subvert the whole Lower Decks thing and start promoting him slowly. I think that they've got the William Boimler that they can play with, so they can, I think it would be like a good joke to promote him quickly, so by the time they see him again, he's lieutenant commander already, and then by the next season, he's like a first officer. I could go with that joke. That would be fine. But the real Boimler, the one that we're following, they would need to promote him more slowly and gradually, but they do have to promote him. They cannot Harry Kim him. Nor should they Tilly him, but they can Tilly William Boimler. I think that would be fine to Tilly him because it would be funny. But don't Harry Kim Boimler after having a friggin' storyline like this, where you show that he's got the command stuff. That would be my only concern over the long term. We're talking long term, several seasons, whatever. Anyways, let's move on over to the get more into the Mariner, Tendi, and Rutherford storyline. All right, so once again, I can say that I am pleased with the character mishing and mashing, mixing things up a little bit. Instead of just having Rutherford and Tendi off doing their own thing, we're throwing Mariner into the mix, and we're having Mariner basically inserted in the Rutherford and Tendi storyline, and I liked it. Of course, the whole concept of them going around and picking up all of the waste that people have picked up from other planets, all these weird things, is kind of silly, but it's very Lower Decks, and I actually thought it was very good. I thought it was funny that they kept having all these little things. Not like laugh out loud, hilariously funny, but I thought it was good. I liked that gag that they kept coming across all these little weird things that like made Rutherford blow up into. It reminded me of Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory. Blow up into this big balloon. So yeah, I did like that, but mostly what I liked about this storyline was the character stuff between Mariner and Tendi, because Tendi is notoriously overly positive about everything, and in some cases, I personally would even say obnoxiously so. Like, I'm kind of with Mariner, honestly. Like, just, do you have to be so ridiculously positive about everything? And those two should naturally clash in that way, because Tendi is always super positive and Mariner is not. So I think that this actually was a long time coming for the two of them to clash in this way. And it never happened because they always put Mariner off away from the Rutherford and Tendi plot. So what happens when you put Mariner in that plot is she's like, God, why are you so goddamn positive all the time? And I like that the Tendi got really frustrated with it. And I did really enjoy the scene when she had that, what was that, a cube or something? Or an orb, I forget now, that was glowing. And then turned her into the weird scorpion creature or whatever. But she was like, yeah, you know what? I'm sick of this shit. And so, you're right, this does really suck. And Mariner's like, put down the cube. And it seemed like that cube thing, whatever it was feeding off of her frustration and anger and turned her into the scorpion thing. And I did really like I think I already mentioned this already, but the resolution here with Boimler and showing that they are all buddies, they are all friends. I loved all of that. I feel like Rutherford kind of took a back seat in this, which is fine. I still would like more Rutherford development. We got a little bit finally delving into his memory loss last week, but I still feel like he is, of the four, the most underdeveloped characters by far. Tendi was there with him at the start of the season. I said last year that I wanted to see more Tendi and Rutherford character development, and I feel like they've done a lot with Tendi this season. So Rutherford is next. They need to develop him anymore, or a little more. But that's okay for this week. I was fine with focusing in on really the Tendi and Mariner clashing there. I thought it was good. I did enjoy this storyline quite a bit. So then we have the last plot, which is the Captain Freeman and the Packlids plot. I've seen 2 videos already that complain that this is disconnected from the other 2 plots because Lower Decks tends to connect them all. But I don't know. Typical Star Trek, the plots are disconnected. So I had no problem with it being disconnected. That's Star Trek. They're always disconnected. The A plot and B plot. Or in this case, there's 2 plots and a C plot, whatever. But it didn't even occur to me that should be a problem because that's a Star Trek thing. So that was fine. I actually enjoyed this plot too, if I'm being perfectly honest. I love that we have here the Cerritos, who in itself within Starfleet is a Lower Decks ship. There's a running gag of Captain Freeman trying to get a better ship, which was also brought up in this episode. I love that the very appropriate enemy for them is the Packlids. I love that the Packlids are their enemy. And I thought it was hilarious that the Packlid was a very, very obvious spy, and he just kept saying, "Oh, could I go see your warp core now. Oh, can you please give me the codes? Like, it was, I thought that was good. I mean, again, it wasn't like I wasn't cracking up, rolling like I was with the Armis scene at the end, but I still did think it was funny. I did like that. I liked the line when Kayshawn said to Ransom, like, I forget the exact line, but it was like, oh, are you getting something vibes from this? And he was basically saying, like, one of his stories, like the way that the Temerians talk. Are you getting these kind of vibes from this? I thought that was pretty funny. I want more Kayshawn. I still don't understand who the security officer is. It seems like Kayshawn and Shax are both that. And my brother said he was really, really upset by what they did with Shax, and he said it almost ruined the entire show. Where I'm not at that level, but I think I would still have preferred if they just kept Shax dead and like allowed Kayshawn to step up a little bit, because now I'm just confused as to who the security officer is, and we haven't really seen Kayshawn much since episode 2, since Shax came back. Really, we only kind of see him here and there in the background. So I want more Kayshawn. I thought that was pretty funny, and I was amused by the fact that the pack lids kept calling Captain Freeman Janeway. Again, we're getting a little meta here because it seems like the characters the characters of this show know the characters from the previous shows more than anyone else, even the Packlids. Captain Janeway apparently is really famous. But I did think it was funny that they kept calling her Janeway, and then at the end it's like, she's not Janeway! And Captain Freeman was like, that's what I've been trying to tell you this whole time! But yeah, I think of the 3 plots, I would probably say this was was the weaker one, but I still enjoyed it. Like, I still enjoyed this plot overall. So yeah, I think this was a pretty good episode. And of course, I've already mentioned the Armis thing. That was so good. Loved that ending. So now I'm optimistic again about the rest of season 2. Hopefully we can move up from here. So let me give my rating out of 10. 1 is the lowest possible score I would give. 10 is the highest possible score. And you know what? As soon as I finished watching this, my immediate reaction was 8. But you know what? I think I've talked myself into an 8.5. I think I'm going to bump it up slightly. It's an 8.5. Not quite a 9. Definitely not a 10. But I think, other than episode 2, I think this is the strongest episode of the season thus far. I think episode 2 would be above it. I gave episode 2 a 9. So that makes sense. So I think 8.5 is a good episode. The more I think about it, the more I actually like it and the more I enjoy it. Maybe by this time next year it'll be a 9. I don't know. But I'm going with an 8.5 for now. So that is it for my review on Lower Decks Season 2, Episode 6. Please join me back here again next week as I review Season 2, Episode 7. Also check out all of my other Star Trek content, my MCU content, including weekly live discussions on What If with my brother Mark and a rotating third guest. Check out all of that. Please subscribe. And I will see you soon.